It's true, it is one of my favorite techniques. The basting technique is definitely one of the first that you will learn. You can technically do it by hand, but I absolutely hate hand sewing, so I'm going to show you how to do it on your machine today. The two reasons of why I will usually use a basting stitch is if I need to temporarily hold seams together, because it's really easy to remove a basting stitch, or if I'm sewing a garment that has a design element that features gathers. And to be honest, that is like super in right now. If you are sewing garments from scratch or if you're modifying other garments, it's definitely a common feature that you will see. So today I'm going to teach you how to do it on your machine. The key to creating a basting stitch is to set your machine on the longest stitch thread that is available, and you'll want to make sure that you're using a straight stitch. Another important part of creating a basting stitch is not backstitching. So backstitching is another technique that is used to backstitch over your stitches so that they don't come undone. But basting threads are meant to be removed. So when I start sewing this seam, I am not going to backstitch. So I've simply dropped my needle into the fabric and I'm just gonna sew. So again, no backstitching. My needle is in the upright position. I'm going to lift the presser foot and simply trim that thread there. And now you can see there is a pretty wide stitch there, and my tension was not perfect for this fabric because I didn't adjust the tension from my last project. But here you can see that's a pretty wide stitch that would be really easy to remove from a piece of fabric. To create gathers, all you're going to do is create one more row of stitching parallel to the stitch that you just created. And sometimes people will adjust their tension to help the fabric gather more. There's also ruffler feet that you can buy for your machine, but honestly, I prefer this old school way. So again, I'm gonna drop my needle in without backstitching and sew. And I'm just using the edge of my foot here as a guide to keep everything nice and even. So now I'm at the end, raise my presser foot and carefully remove. I've got two messy lines. This is just a sample here, and I'm going to show you how to gather these. Another really important point for you to know is that when you are creating basting stitches for gathering is to leave really long tails. That just makes it easier for you to handle the fabric. So here you can see I have grabbed my two top threads, and they have to be threads from the same side. So I can't grab this bottom thread from the front and the bottom thread from the back. If I'm gonna grab from the back, that's fine, but I'm gonna grab from the front here. So it's both the same stitches. And I'm gonna hold those taut and then gently slide the fabric down onto these threads. And it's really important that you use two threads because the fabric honestly just needs it. It looks really messy when you only do one. And something to keep in mind when you're gathering fabric and you're out in the world looking for fabric or you're looking for projects that you can upcycle, you need a lot of fabric to get that really beautiful gathered effect. And that is how everyone creates those gathers for the most part. I prefer to use this technique. Again, if you want to use the technique where people manipulate their tension to help gather the fabric as they sew, you can do that, but I kind of just like to go this old school way. And that is how you create stitches to gather fabric.